Hello, welcome back to your weekly astrological aspects. And well, I've got this set for yesterday because we're coming off of a big day. Don't have the moon in here at that degree, but you'll see that we had our full moon yesterday. And we would know that if it were back a few degrees here in Aquarius, you would see 27 degrees and it would be opposite of the sun right there, 27, and that would be 27. Actually, let me just do it for you. Moon. Looking for a 27 moon. There we go. All right. I'd like for you to see it. So it's right here. We had opposition yesterday. There was our moon, but then we also had, we're looking over here at 27 degrees of Uranus. So easiest way to look for aspects is to look at degrees and look for degrees that are close. Look exact and then look a degree or two either way. So with this, we're looking, and then how do we know what they are? Well, look at your astrology symbols and see what might be opposite, or if it is in the same element, it will be a trine. You'll see, like if it's in Leo and Sag and Aries, those are all fire. So it's all the same element, fire, fire, fire. They'll all be 120. If they are in the same quality, like if you have two fixed signs, or what we have here, you'll either have a square or an opposition. And what we're looking at here is the opposition of sun and moon. It's a full moon because of the light of the sun is shining onto the moon. It's full, lighting up the whole thing. And then we're seeing over here, okay, so we go fixed. And then we know that Leo's a fixed sign, Aquarius is a fixed sign, and then we see this 27-degree Uranus over here in Taurus, a fixed sign. So fixed, fixed, fixed. So that would be opposition, and then a T-square, because both the moon will be squaring Uranus and the sun would be squaring Uranus. Okay, so that's one that we're coming off of yesterday. It was a heavy full moon, and then upsetting things, with Uranus, and things at that degree would get more hits on that than anything else. Now, there's another one. There's another opposition T-square. And if I can get, it was earlier in the day when Venus was, actually, let's do it. Let's see, there we go. Okay, Venus here. Let me make sure I get set back up. Venus here at 17 Virgo, opposite Saturn, 17 Pisces, right? There's one right there, opposition. So let's talk about that for a second. Venus, your values, your relationships, others, things you like, your money, in fastidious Virgo, in exacting, disciplined, helpful, courteous Virgo. And then there's opposite of Saturn in Pisces. Now, this is kind of interesting because I think Saturn is kind of weak in Pisces. It weakens it or makes it more malleable, but it would kind of be like, the structure. Saturn is all about structure, but then if it's in Pisces, let's mush it all out. It's not a very strong structure. So Venus is kind of, getting its way here, I think, over Saturn. Maybe you're pushing through barriers that were difficult. You're maybe talking to the opposition, talking to the other side with balance. I think what we got on this opposition here is more of a balance rather than an opposing point of view, because again, Saturn wants, in Pisces, it wants to solve the issue. It doesn't want to just be a jerk. It wants to get on with it, and it's dealing with a nice Venus in helpful Virgo. All right, so that was like one push-pull, but then kind of makes it a little tense was the square that both of them have over to Jupiter. So Jupiter here in another mutable sign. Let's look at this. Okay, so we have Virgo mutable, Pisces mutable, and then over here to Gemini, we have Jupiter in Gemini, all mutable signs. So the mutable T-square is not as tough as that fixed T-square we just looked at, because mutability wants to change. It's not into, I am here, this is my thing, I'm stuck here, I'm fixed. It's more like, oh, okay, we did this, let's go on, let's move on. So I think this is about, well, a few things. And this is not just ending yesterday. I wanted to start this because we kind of have this going through the week. This is how we're starting our week. So we have Venus values in helpful, organized Virgo, kind of running up against expanding. Let's look at something new. Are you sure? Let's open it up. Have you looked at this possibility? Let's look over here, and it's like Jupiter is just kind of constantly expanding, and Venus is like, no, 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 no. I got it. I got it. I don't need you to sell me anymore. I don't need you to give me the hard sell. I've already said yes, or I've already said no. And this is the decision. So there's that one. And then we have that with Saturn. Okay, so here's another one. And this is very interesting, this one, the Saturn and the Jupiter. So again, Saturn here is, its boundaries are dissolving. And I think Jupiter is opening up a lot of the new possibilities, the newness, the new communication, the much more possibilities of things. But it's a square. Now, let me just remind you of this larger cycle here. This is a bit of a bigger cycle, and we looked a little bit at it last week, but it's the opening square of these two. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, in what was it? The end of, was it 20? It was like the beginning of 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn were at 0 degrees. They were conjunct, 0 degrees in Aquarius. They just opened up. So we had that, an air sign, right? Aquarius. And that was when they were at the beginning of a new cycle. So they opened up the new cycle in an air sign. And now we're at the, 4 years later, we're at the opening square. This is, Jupiter has moved that far away and Saturn has moved that far, because they were here right where Pluto is now. That's where they were together. So they moved, and now they've moved to make this opening square. So this is their first, this is the, expansiveness of Jupiter meeting up against the changing Saturn here, because Saturn wants to change, wants to maybe get what it can and then move on. It wants to maybe it's like if you're gutting an old house, you want to keep the good wood and get rid of all the rotten wood, all the rotten, planks and boards and foundation, and tear that out and put in the good stuff. So that's kind of what this opening square is all about. And it's again in, Jupiter's in an air sign, Saturn is in water, but we've got that Jupiterian, that expansiveness there in Gemini. And then we have Mars you could see Mars just past Jupiter. So they were together last week. That new enterprise, so there's probably a lot of new things on the table with people. Okay, so that's what we're coming into. Now, this week is a little bit different, a lot different. It's not so tense, but yet these energies will be playing out. So today, as we're coming into the week, it's kind of a quiet day, thank goodness. A lot of things have moved off those angles. But we do have some stuff coming in, and you'll get there. You can start to see some of it, like the sun. You see it's at 28 Leo, and then we know that there's a 29 Neptune. And then we know there's a 0 Pluto. So we know the sun is going to soon make angles to that. Okay. So let's move on. Okay, so we go into Wednesday. And we see the sun at that 29-degree Leo, at the end of the sign, at the end of Leo, about to move into Virgo. So we got fixed fire. And then we see a 29 Neptune, and we have a mutable water. All right, so they're not quite opposite, right? If it were opposite, it would be Aquarius. It'd be down here, but it's the next sign. So if we know an opposition is 180 degrees, and if this, like Neptune here, is one whole sign, 30 degrees away from that, we would subtract 30 from 180 to get 150. So our 150 is our quincunx, and that's our odd angle. It has nothing in common. it's like we have the sun is a fixed fire, the fixed sign. I don't want to go anywhere. Fire, yes, me. Oh, dance around. I'm Leo the campfire. Dance around me and have fun, and honor me and tell me how good I am. There's Leo. And then we have Neptune at the end of Pisces. It's like it just wants to expand out and get it done. It just wants to, it's like you just want to fall asleep. You're almost asleep. You're almost unconscious. You're just laying there and you're just about to drift off. That's where that is. So that doesn't, we've got mutable water, fixed fire, mutable water. They have nothing in common. Even that the polarity, fire, the Leo here, this Leo fire is masculine. This Neptune in Pisces is feminine. So they're nothing in common. So sun, maybe you have trouble sleeping that day. Maybe you have trouble expanding out or wanting to let go of something. See, because the sun is at the nth degree of the fixed sign. It doesn't want to change. But a day later, what a difference a day makes. Let me, before I go on, if there's anything else that day. Moon moves into Aries later in the day. It's at 26 here. It's what do I have this set at? 1:30 in the afternoon. So it's like 7 in the evening Eastern time or 4 o'clock Pacific time. The moon will move into Aries. So that'd be kind of nice. But look at interesting here. Wednesday, the moon is going over Saturn and Neptune. So as the moon finishes its orbit there, it's gone over Saturn. So I think today and then into Wednesday, with the moon over in Pisces, every month now, well, yeah, for a little while, because we still have Neptune over in Pisces. Every time the moon comes over here for the next several months until Neptune moves out of Pisces, we're going to have this, I don't say, maybe modeling, what would you say it, dramatic, maybe dissolving kind of energy. It's kind of strange. The end of Pisces, it's going through Pisces with the emotional. It's a sister sign. The moon being in Pisces, a sister. Moon likes to be in Cancer, but it's in Pisces. So this is just maybe making a little bit more emotional overtone, maybe a little bit more of a receptive, feminine, nice kind of an energy. Could be slightly sad or dissolving, it's like sort of end. So anyway, every month for a little while there, when the moon comes around, it's going to hit those three, as it moves through, move those two, Saturn and then Neptune. So we get a little bit of that kind of energy every month here for a little bit until it changes signs. All right, what else do we got? Moving into Thursday, sun moves into Virgo. We're starting our first day of fall in the Northern Hemisphere. The sun is also yet at that 0 degrees. So we remember that Pluto is over at 0 degrees, and we have another one of those 150-degree angles. All right, so the sun a couple days ago made one over to Neptune, and now it's making another quincunx or 150 over to Pluto. So sun and Pluto aren't seeing eye to eye here. Sun is into fastidious, busy, let's get her done, take care of things, let's be helpful Virgo. And Pluto is kind of in that first degree of that rebellious sign. It's like the militant side maybe of Pluto. So this is kind of not mixing. This could be just a little bit of an odd energy coming into the beginning of this season here with the sun. That I think is kind of foreshadowing. Some things are just not mixing. Some things that are being forced upon us, and they're not mixing well. It's some things maybe that we as people didn't decide. Some things that are being thrown in, and that we're just going, "What the f? This is not what I signed up for. This is not what we signed up for. This is not what we all decided. This is not what what you said it was going to be." So this is all, careful in your relationships, in business dealings. It's like read the fine line, read between the print, or be happy with whatever comes up. because this is just a little bit of an adjustment if things are coming through on that day. So the meaning of that is definitely an adjustment because you don't have anything in common. So that's kind of a big one. The sun has two difficult quincunxes, in conjuncts, whatever you call them, in a couple of days. So you might have to kind of adjust to certain things. I know I am. All right. Friday. See anything else on Thursday? Oh, how can I forget? There we go. Glad I make notes. There's so much when you're looking at charts. All right, we also have a square formed here with Venus and Mars. Okay, so another tense kind of an aspect, but we have them in mutable signs. So it's not again as strong as like a cardinal square or a fixed square. Cardinal ones could be pretty edgy. But we have here Venus again in Virgo, and then we have Mars in Gemini. So Venus is like wanting to clean up and keep things nice and neat, and Mars is making a mess. Mars is looking at a magazine and throwing it on the floor. Mars goes and checks the mail and leaves, the opened envelopes on the floor. He keeps what he wants. Mars went and ate something and left the dishes on the side of the sink. This is like this messy, on to the next, just not totally paying attention, and then have this conversation, have that conversation, and gotta go over here, and then Virgo's like, hey, settle down, you're all over the place. So there's a little push pull here between the lover kind of energy, and then Venus in Virgo is not the most romantic sign placement, but it's good for money. So maybe switch into money and business instead of so much romance here, or unless the romance and the stuff is just kind of being organized and maybe having I don't say have fun because it's not really that much of a fun. It's like maybe be open to change and open to something new, but keeping things neat, tidy, and in order, not letting it fly off and just getting out of hand. So that's where the little bit of the push pull is, the little square there. And then look again where these two signs are in your chart. Where is Virgo and where is Gemini? And see if there's any planets near that, or just what houses that they're acting out in. Say I'm looking at this person's chart, and we would have that in their 10th house, Venus in the 10th house of business matters, and Mars in the house of others, personal, your partners and partnerships. So here's like business versus partnerships. So we can see like, it's like maybe I got to work late at work longer and later at work, putting in order, and before I can go home and have fun and get busy and stuff like that. So that's that kind of an energy. But again, look what houses they are in your chart to see where that action of life is playing out. All right. La, 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 la. Thursday, Friday. Well, we got some action here with Mercury. Mercury here is, I don't have the asteroid, what is it now, Chiron up here, but I tell you about it from time to time because I think it's just something to be reckoned with. We have Mercury going to make a trine to Chiron, and Venus making an inconjunct, the quincunx to Chiron. I think that this could be a little bit of a wounding. Maybe someone or something that was a little wounded is afraid to talk or talks too much about something. Maybe somebody that you wanted to help, you can't quite help them. They're either not ready or they're not accepting it, or they have to learn a hard lesson. Chiron, the wounded healer, maybe they have to speak about their wounds. Maybe they have to accept some things as like, this ain't gonna work, I gotta move on, that kind of an energy. So that's a little bit coming on. But then Mercury itself is going to be in a nice little sextile over to Mars. You can see Mars here as it moves on, it'll go into another, there it goes. But then Mercury is going back, right? So look at there, we have one at 22 and 123, and then 123, 22. So the day here, Friday and Saturday, they're both going to kind of switch, because one's moving forward and one's moving back by degrees. So anyway, it's kind of like a 2-day aspect, kind of going over and that. So we have Mercury, in dramatic Leo. So we could have some like the town crier or the drama queen or the drama king, or, this, it's going to communicate something dramatic. And then Mars has got the energy to do it, and it's to stay busy with it. It's maybe it's like to communicate there. You've got that communication, Mercury rules Gemini there. And then Mars, its sister sign is Leo. So they're kind of they're kind of related there. So that energy and the communication and the drama and the drama. Do we say the drama? Don't don't forget I underline that verbally. The drama, the story, it's like, all right, I got you already. Okay. So that's a bit of that going on. So yeah, that's maybe the drama or somebody's story about their wounding or about their past love or their life, or it's just, or something, or defending something, even on a large scale. 24th, moving into Saturday, and that energy continues. You can see here that it just switched places, so we have that again. This is still continuing, and then the moon, is it's changing. Where is it? So here it will sextile Saturn. You can see here it's in Taurus, and this is in Pisces. So the moon will make a nice aspect to kind of smooth that down a little bit. It's in that hedonistic kind of comfort food sort of moon, comforting area. And then maybe get along with Saturn on this point. It's kind of like, your mom and I want to give you $100 because we see that you're struggling and we just believe in you, or something like that. That's that kind of an energy kind of coming through. There's something nice there. What else here? Saturday. Kind of a little bit more of a quiet day. All right, moving into Sunday. Moon moves into Gemini late in the days here. It's finishing up in Taurus, and it will move into Gemini. And as it does, as it finishes up in Taurus, it will conjunct Uranus. So we could have a little bit like Sunday, some kind of unexpected mood change, unexpected surprise. Your feelings change on something. You decide to maybe be you've got the solidity of Taurus, so we got the comfort of Taurus, and we have the security of Taurus, but then the moon is changing, and then it hits up Uranus. Uranus hits up Uranus. Your moon goes up Uranus. Maybe that's what it's going to be all about. So anyway, I think it's like, you just need a feeling, an emotionalness. Maybe your security is challenged or comes up in something different for you than you thought. Right. And coming into Monday, it's a bit more of a quieter day, which is really good. So we, this next week, it kind of slows a little bit, or maybe we have to deal with the effect of the oppositions and squares, but it's in and of itself, it's we're not as loud of a week, of a day. But what we've got to look forward to, you can see here, Venus 26, in Virgo, you can see that it's going to trine, when it moves one day ahead. We'll get into this next week, but I've got to give you a heads up because this is cycles. It's hard to pause it, but we've got a Venus trine Uranus. So we just saw that the moon went over Uranus, which is your feelings, your habits, your patterns. So some of there may change. But then we got the niceness of Venus, again, in helpful, courteous, organized Virgo, trying to make sense of it all. And it's earthy. It's bringing it down to earth, which could be good. Let's hope. And then what else do we have coming up? And then you can see that it's almost at the end of the sign and about to move into, God, why can't I think of things this afternoon? Libra. And then when it goes into Libra, it will cross over to South Node. So I'd say whenever everything is getting near the South Node, is a good time to clean and get rid of stuff, on the outer level, in your home, in your room, in your life, in your office, in your desk, in your junk drawers, old clothes, old things you're hanging on to, because South Node is where you need to get rid of things. Maybe give things to others because it's in Libra. There's something else I was thinking about. I just lost that train of thought. So anyway, when Venus goes there, it's like voluntarily giving things up or giving things away, or inside doing some inner cleansing, maybe getting rid of feelings, situations, old thoughts, old patterns, old knee-jerk reactions to things. Maybe the way you've handled certain relationships or others, because I'm looking at Libra there. There'll be in Libra. So making those emotional amends, or maybe within yourself, maybe choosing not to carry or harbor feelings that you don't need anymore. Time when Venus will go over that. And it's coming in orbs. So I got to tell you now, there's a couple of things. We'll drill in on it more next week. But then also we have Mercury slowing down, and it will go direct Wednesday. It's still be at 21 degrees. Yes, it's still stationed and still right there, 21 degrees. All right. And then Thursday, we said Venus will move into Libra, and then it will also trine Pluto. We'll talk about that next week. And then we also have on the 1st, we're coming up to that, we have Uranus about ready to go retrograde. So it's there. It's going to be hanging out at this 27, 26, 25 degree for a while. So Uranus will keep making these aspects. Now it'll start backing up. I mean, it doesn't really, but it is by degree. And then Venus, there we already talked about that. And yeah, that's about all for there. So yeah, interesting week we got coming up. It's kind of an inner week, I think. A lot of the things are maybe more inner than they are outer, but we're still dealing with the effects, of these squares and oppositions. Again, I think these oppositions could be about balance, but not always. It depends on who, what, and where. But generally, with the mutability, that tends to make it a little different. We have one in one sign and one in another that we're coming off of. The full moon one way, and then the Venus Saturn one is another. So nonetheless, I think we got a little bit more of a chill week, but just watch that. We still have those waves, those ripple effects from this moon. Now, the full moon is the culmination. Some things should be done. And now we're coming into, we're finishing up those details. We're clearing the slate. In 2 weeks, we're getting ready for the new moon. The new moons are when we begin things. So still use this part of this retrograde cycle to finish activities, finish things that you meant to before we start over again. All right, that is all I have for you this week. Chill, make use of it, and that's all for now. All right, have a good week, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.